Prologue. The light of Arkel, space. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Sure, you got asteroids you can blow up with lasers, which is cool for about 5 minutes. But then you realize it's mostly just empty and cold and full of weird aliens who want to eat your face. Trust me, I've been there. Picture this, a war raging across the galaxy. On one side, the Shadow Empire, all about darkness and conquering. On the other side, everyone else who didn't want to be enslaved by grumpy shadow creatures. The Shadow Empire had this nasty habit of sucking the light out of planets, leaving them cold and lifeless. Deep in the cosmos, hidden on the planet Arkel, resided the Sphere of Light. Protecting it? That was the job of the Guardians of Light, and that's where our story begins. Section 1, Heroes Assemble, or 6 very different people who really need to learn to work together. Meet Kira. She's got this whole born leader thing going on. She can also shoot fire from her hands. Then there's Jax, your typical warrior dude with a heart of gold and a sword arm that could bench press a small moon. Next up we got Sam, the team's resident genius. And let's not forget Maya, the strong woman who could probably crush coal into diamonds with her bare hands. Last but not least, we have the telepathic twins, Liam and Luna. Liam's the hacker extraordinaire, while Luna's the strategist, always 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Section 2, Invasion, giant robots, shadowy figures, and one very annoying alarm clock. Picture this. A peaceful morning on Arkel, birds chirping, flowers blooming. Suddenly alarms blare, the sky turns a menacing shade of green, and giant robots descend from the sky like angry hornets. Kira's fire flared out of control. Jax's sword hummed with an eerie light. Sam's latest invention exploded, as usual. Maya got this really bad feeling in her gut. And the twins? Let's just say they got one heck of a headache. They didn't know each other, but one thing was clear. Something big was going down, and they were somehow caught in the middle of it. Thus began their very reluctant, very confusing journey to Arkel, filled with exploding spaceships, interdimensional portals, and one very persistent space pirate named Captain Zog. Can't we all just get along? From bickering to somewhat believing. Arriving on Arkel was a bit of a shock, even for this ragtag bunch. Imagine a planet that looked like it was designed by a committee of artists, each with very different ideas. Meeting each other, well, that was a whole other kind of chaos. Kira tried to take charge naturally, but Jax was having none of it. Sam kept spouting off facts about the local flora and fauna, completely oblivious to the giant robots trying to blast them to smithereens. Maya just grunted and punched things. And the twins? They mostly kept to themselves, whispering telepathic snark about everyone else. They were a mess, plain and simple. But as the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my reluctant ally. With the Shadow Empire closing in, they had no choice but to work together, even if it meant driving each other crazy in the process. The prophecy and the peril. When bad guys explain their evil plans, it never ends well. Just when things couldn't get any weirder, a holographic projection of the Shadow Emperor, a shadowy figure with a voice like gravel on a chalkboard, decided to make an appearance. He gave this whole "join me or die" speech, which would have been scarier if he wasn't using a giant robot as a microphone. Turns out the Sphere of Light wasn't just some fancy lamp. It was the key to unlocking ultimate power, and the Shadow Emperor was determined to have it. The heroes learned about an ancient prophecy, one that spoke of 6 warriors who would unite to defeat the darkness. They also learned that their powers were somehow connected to the sphere itself, and that by working together they could unlock their true potential. Of course, they also learned that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders, which, as you can imagine, put a bit of a damper on things. To be continued. The odds were stacked against them, but our heroes, battered and bruised but not broken, stood ready to face their destiny. They had a villain to vanquish, a prophecy to fulfill, and a whole lot of figuring out to do. As they set off on their quest, the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance.